Hey everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of our Train Like a Trooper podcast. Today, my guests are Trooper Keaton Davis and Trooper Austin Brown. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So, Troopers Davis and Brown are our two pretty brand new full-time recruiting troopers for the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. This is a new position that the patrol really hasn't had for a very long time. And so I kind of wanted to start out by talking to you guys about when you first heard about this opportunity opening up, kind of what your thoughts were and why you wanted to serve in this role for the patrol.
Yeah, so for me, I feel like it's something that the agency's needed. Just based off the numbers that we've had in the past, we really, especially since 2020, really haven't had that huge number of applications that have been submitted. And a lot of the bigger agencies nowadays are having full-time recruiters. And that initiative, I feel like, is really helping them. So when I heard about this, I'm a really passionate person about training and training new people, and I feel like this is the step above that. So you're going out and you're networking with potential applicants and helping, I feel like, bring those qualified and really good applicants to us that way. So when we're going to campuses, hey, if it's a sports thing or if they're a criminal justice major, whatever it may be, but having them have that insight of what we bring as an agency, I feel like is needed. And that was kind of one of the things that drove me to apply and put in for this position, is being able to be that branch to potential applicants and bring them to this agency and give them a better knowledge of what we do as Oklahoma Highway Patrol.
For me, one of the biggest things that I first thought of was I previously served in the military, and the last 2 years that I was in, I served on recruiting duty, and I just wanted to kind of bring over some of those strategies and some fresh ideas that we haven't been using that I've seen worked in the military and that kind of a thing. And there's a lot of small details, especially when it comes to colleges and universities, time of year, stuff like that kind of plays into your interest. Believe it or not, your interests usually actually do spike in the Christmas time, in which a lot of people are at home with the family and things of that nature. But there's a lot of first-time students that are just finished their first semester of college, and either they're about to drop out or they're trying to really now start to look into their future, like where am I going to be, where am I going to go, and try to actually have a goal in mind for some of them. So it's just some of that additional small information that I had that I was hoping to bring to the table.
Mm-hmm. So, and this is not unique to the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, but probably lots of law enforcement agencies, even going back maybe 5-10 years ago. You didn't really have to get out there and try to find these applicants. They were coming to us. And that's not really the case anymore. Is that kind of what you guys are seeing? And why do you think that is?
For me, I feel like it's just a different day and age. It's a different culture nowadays. And the generation that we have that are younger really might not want to be in law enforcement or first responders. Same thing with me. Being in the military, it's a whole new generation of trainees that are coming in to, I'm a drill sergeant in the Army as well too, and it's a whole new generation of young people, young adults coming into those positions at 17, 18. A lot of them really don't have that same drive as that I did when I first enlisted, or maybe Austin or some of these other people, but having the outlet that we do now with the recruiting side of things, I feel like it gives them more understanding of what we do. And maybe it's just, like I said, just a different day and age in the culture, and not knowing kind of what our role is as an agency. I think that might have been the disconnect and why we didn't have the numbers that we had back in the day.
Yeah. Do you find that there's a misconception maybe about, because you think about it, in law enforcement, we've got police departments, city police department, we've got county sheriff's departments, and then us who patrol the entire state. And sometimes, do you think the younger generation maybe doesn't understand what Highway Patrol does or what troopers do?
Absolutely. I gave a class talk the other day at a community college, and even the professor or instructor was a retired PD officer. She had retired as a captain, and even some of the things that I was explaining to the students that were opportunities on the Highway Patrol, she had no idea of, right? So she had spent obviously long enough to retire, I don't remember the exact amount of years, but long enough to retire in law enforcement. She was even surprised at some of the things that we offer and some opportunities that we have available.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Maybe some kids now think, okay, well, all troopers do is, write speeding tickets and work crashes. Now, granted, that probably is the bulk of the work that the Highway Patrol does, and we are also an assist agency to other agencies around the state. But talk a little bit about some of the opportunities and some of the things that you think maybe the younger generation might be surprised to know are opportunities once you get on with the highway patrol?
For me, I worked at a municipality before coming here as a police officer for a different agency, and I really didn't know the full depth of what OHP does in general. And I knew some of the things just because I had family members and friends that worked as troopers. But once I came here and noticed the different divisions and the opportunities that, I mean, just like me and Austin and ourselves, I mean, we created a whole new division, and me and him got these roles. And nowadays they're doing the same thing. They're modernizing with a lot of these other bigger agencies and bigger cities. And like we just created a new drone division, which a lot of people probably don't know about that. You know, at a smaller agency or, you know, colleges or, you know, some of these other younger kids don't know that we are modernizing and doing some stuff like that. With me, I feel like I didn't know that we had a big presence with our emergency service unit, or even with you know, Troop W. I didn't know we had as many watercrafts that we did. Training division. I mean, there's so many different divisions within OHP that I had no idea about, and the opportunities that we have with our joint terrorism, or OCTIC now.
Correct.
And then with the FBI, I mean, there's just numerous things that I had no idea about until I actually joined the agency. And I'm sure it's the same way with a lot of people.
Yeah, and you guys actually both serve also on the emergency response team, which is one of the things that you can do once you get on the highway patrol. And kind of explain that a little bit and kind of what our emergency response team does.
Man, they do so much. They are definitely like the catch-all of the highway patrol. I would say their biggest bread and butter is going out for search and rescues, and then probably like civil unrest and protection services are probably the two biggest ones. Of course, we helped out with the eclipse when that happened back in March. You know, keeping, you know, law and order down there, which it wasn't really as big of a deal as we had expected, which is good news, right? It's better to overplan. But then also all those tornadoes and everything kicked off after that, so we were definitely looking for, you know, people that were injured or crushed and things of that nature as well. So those are probably the biggest bulk of it, but also we plus up any other special services that need help. You know, we've helped out Troop W before. We've helped the TAC team if they need plussed up some, you know, security guys, whatever the case. Our executive security team that guards the governor and lieutenant governor and things of that nature. We just kind of sweep up all the rest of the stuff that maybe there's not enough manpower for.
So kind of talk about when you first got in this role, like there were no guidelines for you guys really. It was like build these positions, figure out what needs to be done, which I'm sure was a little bit daunting in the beginning. Where do you even start? Where have you guys kind of focused your energy in trying to find new cadets for the highway patrol?
For me and Austin, I mean, we kind of brainstormed with a lot of people that have been doing some of the part-time recruiting, which, like I said, never had full-times, but talking to them and networking with different universities, and with us as OHP, I think it's been 2 years now that we had an understanding with OSU OKC where we used some of their police science positions so they can get a degree once they graduate. And I also went through OSU OKC's program as well too, with their associate's degree and then also their bachelor's program. But for us, I feel like it was just figuring out what was going to work. What campuses do we want to go to? What type of ideas could we maybe borrow from different agencies with workouts? So I think that was one thing that we decided, hey, you know, our agency is one that we like to have physically fit people, and especially with the role that we have with, you know, never knowing if it's going to be just you by yourself out there working. So I feel like narrowing down certain aspects of what we were looking for and hitting those really hard and just growing from there. You know, I think it's still a learning curve, and I think we're still developing different areas and what we want to focus on. But I feel like just kind of brainstorming with me and him, and then other people that have been doing it part time and some roles. So. Yeah,
definitely. I remember the first thing that I kind of really focused hard on that was very daunting, and the task just felt overwhelming at first, but was researching and reaching out to every single community college, four-year all the colleges in the state of Oklahoma, and then all the touching states as well, right? Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, you know, and so on. Reaching out to all of them as much as we could, trying to get career fair dates, things of that nature, trying to figure out the prices. A lot of people don't understand that those career fairs do have a fee that are associated with them, so sometimes you know, we have to pay a fee to set up somewhere and things of that nature. But also just thinking outside of the box. We've set up at, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament before. We've got a CrossFit competition this weekend. And, you know, we're just getting out there and mixing it up as well, trying to think outside of the box and actually building relationships with other agencies as well that have their recruiting duty. You know, it's not it's not like that kind of a competition to where we're, at each other's throats or anything like that. We
Right.
definitely help each other out, and so just networking, I would say, is one of the big things that's been kicking off as well.
And you guys kind of touched on workouts. So all of our troops throughout the state have CrossFit boxes at the troop, and you guys have been kind of organizing workouts and inviting. We put that information out there. Hey, if you think you're interested in becoming a highway patrol trooper, come and work out with us and talk to us about it. And kind of how has that been going?
I feel like it's really helped out and kind of just giving them a better understanding of what to expect with the academies, because all of our academies based off of CrossFit methodology are physical fitness, and we have a great trooper that's over there, Chris Bunch, who's over that. And it's definitely a necessity to come and see what we do on a day-to-day basis in the academy, and that's just going to give them a better idea of what to expect. And we've had a really good turnout. We've had a lot of people that when they show up, like, hey, we didn't know y'all did all this stuff. And I feel like it's been a pretty good thing to do, to roll out and kind of show them what to expect in these academies and kind of give a better understanding of what we do.
And let's touch on that, like the physical fitness aspect, because that is a lot of what we tell candidates. Come physically fit. Make sure you're fit, and that kind of alleviates the stresses of the rest of the academy. Why is it so important to, if you think you want to become a highway patrol trooper, to make sure that you are physically fit and to really work on that physical fitness?
I would say for me, just looking back whenever I attended the academy, you could tell the other cadets that were physically fit could withstand more of the psychological pressure and stresses and anxieties that come with it. You know what I mean? It's like if you have all these things on your plate that you have to deal with, it's going to be very stressful. So if you can take off a thing from your plate to make it less stressful, it's very, very helpful, and it raises your statistics of being able to graduate and finish and that kind of deal. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that sticks out to me. It's just another thing I don't have to worry about. I'm good. I can keep up, and I don't have to stress about it.
And you kind of touched on this, Keaton, about, as a trooper, you might be working in a county somewhere in a part of the state where you're kind of the only one around. Your backup might be a little further away. It's not like working for a city police department where your backup is maybe a few blocks away. And you don't know what you're going to be faced with, and so it is really important to be physically fit and to be able to deal with whatever comes your way.
Absolutely. Not only that, I feel like just in the whole holistic aspect of, mental health and physical fitness, longevity is really the biggest thing. So we're trying to implement this, and, our commissioner, he's really, brought this CrossFit methodology to, a forefront for us as an agency. And I've seen change just in, multiple different people that go to these command staff workouts, that go to our CrossFits and our CrossFit boxes and train. It's a huge thing, and having backing and support with all the CrossFit boxes, Oklahoma Wellness Division, and rolling this out early into academy and setting that precedence that, hey, physical fitness is important in this career. It could set you up for a long, healthy career. Not only that, after your career in retirement, because some agencies might not have that big of a presence with physical fitness, and there's statistics that show when law enforcement officers get out of this career field or they retire, their life expectancy is pretty short after that. So setting that precedence in the academy and coming physically fit and staying in that mindset throughout your career is going to be pretty important. And working these academies as well too on that side, and in the training division, helping out with that. When cadets show up in a physical fit state, just like Austin said, it's a night and day difference from cadets that show up in less physically fit and really not ready to be here realistically. So, and for me, if you do plan on applying with our agency, please train some, come to our workouts, and kind of get a better understanding, and reach out to me in Austin, and we'll definitely guide you in the right direction.
So the physical fitness test, just to be able to be considered to be an applicant, we kind of recently changed that. It's just a 2,000 meter row, and it's pass-fail, and I think it's scaled from gender and weight. But so that's just kind of a good indicator of overall physical fitness. But then, like I said, they need to really be still working out after that, and that's not really the only thing. That is the only PT test we have right now to become an applicant.
Absolutely. So kind of since that has come out, I have been advising people that, hey, this is what it is now. However, I also advise them to keep up with the website in case it changes, especially for the next academy in the future for the 75th. But that's just what it is right now. However, with it being a 2,000 meter row, it's good enough for the hiring process, but it's not a guarantee to graduate the academy.
Let's talk a little bit about education requirements. Technically, to be able to apply to become an Oklahoma Highway Patrol trooper, you have to have an associate's degree. But we have made that really kind of easier for people. If you have prior law enforcement experience or prior military experience, you can convert that to some college credit hours. And then, Keaton, you briefly mentioned this, our arrangement with OSU OKC, that you don't have to have very many college credit hours at all, and you can get the rest and get that associate's degree by the time you graduate from the academy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so our memorandum of understanding with OSU OKC is really benefit to a lot of law enforcement and a lot of people just in general, because I think it's 23 credit hours is the minimum that you can apply with our agency. And by the time you graduate, depending on what your electives are prior to coming here, at the end of it, you could walk away with an associate's degree, which our last academy, I think, has probably been our best turnout with how many people actually received that police science degree, that associate's degree in police science. I think there was a huge, I think it was maybe almost half, if not more, out of the 50 that graduated. And I mean, it shows a really big step in the right direction. And not only that, just having an agency that will go through those steps with a college to actually build that network where, hey, yeah, if you want to apply with us, hey, you get the job, you're gonna maybe walk away with an associate's degree. I think it's pretty beneficial. And not only that, giving that step or giving that opportunity to them, if they do have military or prior law enforcement, that will give you some college credit hours to make you have that minimum requirement that's mandated by legislation. So
yeah, that's really a big deal.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing too, especially if we're talking about the traditional academy. For veterans that don't have law enforcement or college credits per se, they can use their time in service, whether it's Guard, Reserves, any of that, to convert over to be able to apply for the Highway Patrol. Very helpful.
So we just briefly mentioned we had the 73rd Academy that just graduated just before Christmas this last year. We just closed the applications for the 74th, which is starting this year. Right. So we are a little unique probably in some law enforcement agencies where we don't accept applications year-round. We typically open it up for an academy. So for people who are interested, the next opportunity will be, as of right now, it's going to be a lateral academy, which means you have to have at least 2 years full-time CLEAT certified law enforcement experience. And that is tentatively scheduled to start January of 2025, so about a year from now. So those applications might be opening up later this year, maybe late spring, early summer, for people who are interested. That's
right. Yes, it'll start in 2026, January 2026 for that lateral academy.
Excuse me. Yes, 2026. Thank you.
Can't
get the year
it just
right.
rolled over, so no worries.
Yeah.
Yes, the applications also haven't been exactly determined when they're going to open yet, but it'll definitely be a little bit later this year. And that's another thing. Whenever I'm advising people to double check our website and then also follow us on social media as well. Anytime when there are applications open, closed, something comes up that needs to be broadcasted about those, it'll be on our social media platforms.
Correct, yes. We always blast that out when we open up the applications. And so the one that will be starting this year, the 74th Academy, we had the highest number of applicants that we've had in a while. So that's got to be gratifying to you guys, because that shows that your efforts, they're working. It's doing something.
Absolutely. From my understanding, we had 600 applicants this go around, which was double the previous 2 years and essentially triple the 2 years before that as well. So it definitely does feel good that what we're doing does work and it's making a difference, and hopefully we can continue that trend later on down the road with the future academies and things of that. And of course, we know we're not going to be recruiters forever, so we want to set up a good stable platform for the future recruiters to work with as well, and hopefully they can just walk into an easy and smooth transition for years to come.
And we started using a new application called Interview Now, which is basically a texting application. So applicants can text with you guys if they're interested. And I think that's kind of another thing of let's meet this generation where they're at, that they all text, they all have their phones. How have you guys found that to be?
For me, it's showed a huge improvement, because not only do we have 600 applications submitted, we have over 2,000 people that actually contacted us through Interview Now, which is amazing. And before that, it was all email based. And if you're anything like me, you have 600 emails in your email box, and it's you kind of just pick and choose what you want to read. And for that text-based app, I think it showed a huge improvement in how many people we can actually reach out to and contact. And when we go to these career fairs, they can pull out their phone, scan our QR code, take them directly to this Interview Now application site, would have put them in contact with the recruiter. And just that, instead of emailing, you're texting, so it's almost an instant response. So if somebody goes to our to that Interview Now application link, or want to talk with the recruiter, they can submit whatever their questions are and almost get an immediate response. And I feel like that's made a huge impact, and I think that's why those numbers have increased so much.
What would you guys say to people who are, I guess maybe people who've kind of been thinking about law enforcement, who've been thinking about applying? What would you tell them? And then maybe what would you tell somebody who might come across this podcast or come across something OHP related and they've never really thought about it before, about maybe why they should consider it? Throw you the tough one.
Oh man, yeah. For me, man, I kind of equate it, especially back to my prior military service. One thing that I definitely love is the camaraderie and the brotherhood. The friendships that I've made on the Highway Patrol are, they're second to none. We're more than friends, right? Family type stuff. We spend holidays and birthdays on our kids' birthdays together, things of that nature. I think that's a really huge component about the Highway Patrol that I love, and I think if they're even tossing around the idea, one, come join us for a workout, see what we're all about. They're scalable, so don't expect that you need to be a marathon runner or anything specific to show up. We'll make sure you're part of the workout and you kind of get a taste of what we're about, and then reach out to us on Interview Now as well, because I've also experienced some myth busting while on there, right? They'll ask a question that's completely off, and I'm glad because I get to correct it, right, and put the proper information out there.
Yeah, and like I said, don't think you have to be perfect or a bodybuilder or in the best shape of your life to come to us, because we can help them get there.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you do end up becoming a cadet in our academy, I mean, that's what our academy's for. It's what the individuals that are over that fitness program, they're going to help you get to where you need to be. So like Austin, you don't have to be some extreme CrossFit athlete or bodybuilder or anything like that. If you do come and actually get into the academy, they're going to be able to build you up, and you're going to grow so much within this academy. I think that's one of the most important things with me is when I came to this agency is the bond, right? The academy, I mean, it's unlike military basic training or anything like that. You have so much ties to each other in those academies, and you go through so much just mentally, physically, and you grow and learn and become a completely new person. And that's kind of the goal that we have in that academy, is become not only a better if you were a prior law enforcement, better law enforcement officer, a better family, a dad, a son, a brother, a sister, whoever, a wife. You're becoming a better person once you graduate this, and that's kind of our whole tie to our core values, I feel like. And for me, I feel like the academy really just kind of set a precedence for that. And if you do want to come and do a ride along with us as well too, I feel like. Yeah. So if you do have any questions about hey, what's your agency about, hit us up on Interview Now and come do a ride along with us too, because I mean, like Austin said, there's a lot of myths about probably state troopers. There's probably a lot of myths that like I said, we only work crashes. That's absolutely not what we do. And definitely if you're work at a different agency, or if you're in college, or if you're 18 years old and older, hey, come do a ride along. It's definitely going to give you a different idea of what we actually do as an agency.
Let's touch on the academy real quick a little bit, and what people should expect if they're in our academy. It's a stress academy, mm-hmm. And you'll be tested. Mm-hmm. Tell us about what the academy is like for people who don't know.
So it's kind of a paramilitary style academy, and I mean it's not going to be screaming in your face or anything like that. The biggest thing with it is to build situational awareness, to learn and develop skills as a cadet in this academy, which is going to prepare you for that next step in training, which is going to be your field training with a field training trooper. So once you actually graduate, you'll go out there and have another 13 to 16 weeks of field training out there, actually learning while you're working on the road. But the academy is more set to kind of build you up. So at the very beginning, you're going to have a certain level of stress, which is consistent, and it's going to be tough and difficult, but as long as you're there mentally and you have everybody else there beside you that's doing the exact same thing with you, and you're learning from troopers that have been doing it for a while, who's working this academy, and they're gonna basically mold you into, you know, what we want you to be on graduation day, living up to those core values. But I mean, it's going to be stressful, especially in the beginning. But once you start learning and growing, those expectations that we have set are going to be easier to obtain, because you're building a basically a guide for yourself to, hey, this is what I need to do this day. This is what I need to do this day to make me better and to improve on. So I feel like for me, it's definitely stressful at the beginning, but once you develop those skills and those techniques that we're teaching you and you're learning through this academy, by the end of it, you know, you're going to be so squared away, and it's going to be so easy that it's almost second nature. And that's kind of what we're trying to instill in the academy. So,
and they talk about that stress, and it's like everything that's, you know, if a cadet gets yelled at or is put in a stressful situation, there's always a purpose behind that, and that purpose is to help you when you're out there on the road, and ultimately to keep you alive when you're working the roads and you're doing your job. There's a method to the madness.
Absolutely.
And that's why
and that's the biggest thing. Like you said, the academy, it's a simulated stress. It's stress that we're inducing. Out there on the road, it's stress that it's going to come natural. It's going to be a situation that, you know, 10 cars, 15 car pileup, or, you know, some you know, horrible incident that, you know, when you show up, they're going to look to you because, hey, you're that state trooper that's, you know, got their brass shine and their boots are polished and you look squared away. And I think that's the biggest thing, that our presence just in general as a state trooper, I feel like, can almost calm a situation, or, you know, once you get there, you're handling stuff so well because you've had stress before induced you in the academy that, hey, this isn't that bad. I can handle this. I have this, right? I don't know if Austin has anything to piggyback off that, but
Man, the biggest thing is the stress, like you're talking about. They're definitely going to be pushed to a level of exhaustion that they've probably, you know, never experienced before, and then held at that level for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's going to definitely, I don't know, maybe boil down your brain and your cognitive skills. So you're going to have to push yourself farther mentally than you've ever had before. I think, you know, I've heard guys talk about, you know, like, oh, well, I've done 2-a-days in football and, you know, other examples, which, you know, not to say that they're easy by any means. However, you know, from my experience, you can't exactly always peg exactly who's going to graduate or who's going to drop out just by their physical fitness or, you know, whatever the case. So I think they're going to be challenged in a way that they're possibly not ready for, unless they really, you know, take this advice and, you know, start pushing themselves on the mental aspect as well.
So for kids that are a little bit younger, you know, you have to be 21 to apply to be an Oklahoma State Trooper. So maybe for high school kids or early on in a college career or just graduated, what kind of advice would you give to, you know, boys, girls at that stage of their life who think they might want to do this someday?
Ooh, man, one, I'd say keep your nose clean for sure, right? You know, don't go get a DUI in college or in the military, wherever you're at in life. Don't get in any trouble. Careful with the tattoos. I understand they're becoming more acceptable these days, but there's still a limit. Those are probably my biggest, you know, warnings, I guess, if you will. And then other than that, definitely stay physically fit and learn as much as you can about this job as you can. That will also help in the academy. It's not a necessity. You don't have to, right? I'm not from prior law enforcement. I did not have a criminal justice degree coming into this, so it's not a mandatory, and you're not going to fail just because you don't have it. However, it will give you a leg up.
Absolutely. Yeah, for me, I feel like, kind of like Austin said, just make sure you're setting some type of goal. If this is your career that you want when you're 21, you know, maybe, you know, set small things up. I don't know if, you know, if when you turn 18, if you're going to go to college, if you're going to do part-time, but we have opportunities as dispatchers as well, too, work in our communication division. So that can give you a better understanding of our radio traffic, the calls that we go on. So those can be different steps, and I know quite a few people that have done that, become dispatchers, and then actually apply with us in our agency. Or even if you're in high school still, we have the Cadet Lawman, which is a big recruiting tool for us, and Austin actually does quite a bit of that, so I don't know if you want to bring up anything about Cadet Lawman.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, so Cadet Lawman, I think they're actually about to open the applications here pretty soon, any day now. It will be the first full week of June is when it actually takes place at Connor State College in Warner, Oklahoma. And it really is a good program. It's a week long. It's basically just a really short, condensed version of the Oklahoma Highway Patrol Academy. They get to experience a lot of the things that we get to experience in our academy. Not to the same degree, right? We're not trying to hurt any, high school students or anything, but we give them a taste of everything, right? The driving, the shooting. They get to check out, the bomb robots, flying. Get to go out on our water craft, and they get to be put in a militarized setting, right? So they have to march and things of that nature. We also have them do some physical activities. They work out every morning and things of that nature. And they also have to show their discipline. But it's also like Keaton was talking about, how you slowly build them up, and you can even see in that 1 week, by the end of the week, how much they're coming together as a team, and how much everything is just kind of automated. You don't have to give them as much direction, because that structure has already been built up in just 1 week. So it's a really awesome program. And then probably the last thing that I would also add is that if you do apply, at least to our agency, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, if you don't get hired the first time, do not get discouraged. Like, it's very, very common for people 2, sometimes 3. So it's not the end of the world by any means. I actually, when I was going through the process, I almost got a little bit scared, because I had gotten stopped. I was pulled over by a state trooper out in eastern Oklahoma, and I had asked him, some questions. He's like, "You thinking about applying?" I was like, "Yes, I'm about to get out of the military." And he's like, and I had heard these rumors, right? Like, hey, sometimes you don't get hired the first time. And I asked him, how many times did you apply? And I think he told me 8 times.
Oh, wow.
So, hey, dedication
Yeah.
won the race. So he obviously got hired eventually, and that kind of a thing. I've never heard another number anyway even close to that. 2, maybe 3. Is probably the most I've ever heard since then. But you know what I mean. It's definitely, if you want it and you're serious about it, we'd love to have you.
Okay. Well, great. And you guys are doing a great job in your new roles, and we appreciate this. And you guys are setting a great example for people who think they want to have this career. And so we appreciate you guys joining us for our podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us.